Everybody, and welcome to another Top 10 edition of Magic Minds, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and our co-sponsor, Mana Traders, the best tool to enhance your Magic Online experience. Use the code MagicMikes_VG8, that's MagicMikes_Video Game 8, for 10% off your next subscription with Mana Traders. Tell them we sent you. And I'm Evan Irwin, and we get started each week, with each Top 10 rather, by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Power Dragon.
What's up, everybody? And I think if there's a chance for us to be wrong on a set, this is probably going to be the one that's the hardest to evaluate.
It seems really tough. The internet's Ruben Bressler.
Hey, everybody. I'm also here. Yeah, I agree with that. There's some weird stuff. There's some stuff in terms of entire mechanics that we've never even seen on this scale before. So really excited.
Yeah, I was going through like the rares and even like the uncommons, and I feel like, at this point, something's going to be great here. Something's going to be really good that no one else is talking about. Mm-hmm. And there's just a lot of words on these cards and a bunch of weird things, and there's a lot of token doubler things. And we'll get to that.
The word double appears in the set like at least 3 times.
It's a bunch. They're really getting addicted to that double stuff. They're not Oreos.
Yeah, I love a double stuff Oreo.
Exactly. We also begin with our choice of the top comment from our last top 10, a segment we call Honorable Mention, where Ruben will tell us who was the most eloquent, letting us know what card we did not choose as one of our top 10 Final Fantasy cards. Ruben?
Some nice comments from everybody last time. Thank you all so much for your comments. But I decided to go with Kyle Apgar, who wrote, just saying, who loves summons. Yuna. Green-white wants all the things going on with summons, which all get buffed by Yuna, who you can ramp into easy with Sarah Farron and Summon Fenrir to cast Yuna on turn 3. Garnet also lets you control your summons as well as growing. Additionally, Green-White got lots of good uncommon role player cards to help you build a deck. This set will make Green-White a favorite for a top-tier standard deck.
Fantastic. I'm going to bring her up on the screen right now so you guys can see her. She is a white-green 3 generic mana for Yuna, Hope of Spyra. I think that's right, isn't it, Spyra?
Yep.
For a mythic legendary human cleric, she's a 3/5, so 3/5 for 5 mana. During your turn, Yuna and enchantment creatures you control have trample, lifelink, and ward of 2 generic mana. That's really annoying, by the way. Mm-hmm. At the beginning of your end step, return up to 1 target enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it, and that's just an incredible ability. That's fantastic. And insane. And I played with her a bit, and I crafted my 4 copies so I could play with her because she's great and awesome. Especially with the new enchantments in the set, and the old awesome enchantments, the overlords, are still there, and all of it just kind of still works.
Right. This is a Zur the Enchanter with kind of fewer colors and fewer steps.
Yep.
It doesn't give you hexproof, but trample, lifelink, ward 2 during your turn is very helpful. Her body being slightly bigger is very helpful, and giving herself the buff during your turn is very helpful as well. This is especially good with getting things back from the graveyard, obviously. So you're able to rebuy your summons. You're able to get back any of the perhaps leyline bindings that were removed from earlier in the game, or anything maybe that you sacrificed to an enigmatic incarnation if you're playing that in like Pioneer or one of the older formats. So this card is the spiritual successor to Zur, and Zur won a Pro Tour, so it's very easy to see how this deck card could be the center of a deck.
Yeah, thank you, Kyle Apgar, for being a part of the show. We really appreciate you being a part of that, and stay tuned for our top 10 list this week, and let us know what your choice of your honorable mention may be that we do not mention. Let's move on here, and let's begin our list with our number 10 card, and I'll go ahead and get us kicked off, or I'll get us kicked off here.
Blast it off.
Blasting off our
That's right. We're counting down from 10 to 1, like so many spaceships.
Exactly.
That's
you
correct.
Get it.
Well, look, one of my favorite cards that was printed in this set, and honestly, I love that when there's a mechanic that shows up and you go, wait a minute, I have to go back and reformulate my ideas over every type of card that interacts with this mechanic. And this one would be Station, because Station cares about a high power amount that you can essentially convoke your station cards and whatnot. And that really helps with that mythic 2 mana 5/5 that was in the other set. I think it was Aether Drift or something. But in this set, our best one, at least I can think so, is Bygone Colossus. This card is dope. It is very simple. It's a 9 generic mana, uncommon artifact creature robot giant. It has warp of 3 generic mana. And here's our warp mechanic showing up. You may cast this card from your hand for its warp cost, exile this creature at the beginning of the next end step, then you may cast it from exile on a later turn, and it is a 9/9. So for 3 mana, you can put 9 counters on your station and kind of go from there. And that's awesome. Like, and this is like one of the main enablers of the station mechanic that I can see, particularly in limited, but maybe in constructed.
Yeah. Hugely relevant and limited for sure.
Yeah, this is one I looked at and thought, we're almost looking at it more like a spell than we are a creature, right? It's a 3 mana, put 9 counters on something, right? Like, because that's the role it's going to play in the decks that it's going in. Because we don't really want to be casting just a dirtily 9/9 for 9 with no abilities, right? Like,
Sure.
if we have to, late, sure.
Yeah,
but I think that's where it got overlooked, was people going, yeah, but it doesn't do anything. No, its goal is to be a 3 mana spell that just puts counters on stuff. Right. And if it works, that's huge.
Look, this set has has blown up the value of Phyrexian Dreadnought in ways.
Yeah.
You thought it was ridiculously expensive before. It's damn near $200 now for one copy of that stupid card. I'm sure we'll get to why later, but damn, ridiculous. So I love me a Bygone Colossus.
Speaking of Dreadnought, this card, the Bygone Colossus, is really good in Curie, Emergent Intelligence in Commander, which is the sacrifice a creature, you get to draw cards equal to its power or something like that. Really good with Selvala, which will draw you a card and allow you to get 9 mana off your Selvala. So there's lots of interesting ways to take advantage of a huge body for a discount. Who knew?
I know, right? All right, let's move on to Ruben's number 10. What you got?
I am a big fan of show and tell. I'm a big fan of sneak attack, and I've wanted them to make a fixed show and tell or sneak attack for a while now. And they haven't really until this set. And I don't know that it's going to be good enough, but Terminal Velocity does exist. And I think that it's worth referencing because it could be something good. Terminal Velocity is 4 generic red for a rare sorcery that says you may put an artifact or creature from your hand onto the battlefield. That permanent gains haste. Quote, when this permanent leaves the battlefield, it deals damage equal to its mana value to each creature. And at the beginning of your end step, sacrifice this permanent. So you're getting this sort of overcosted amalgamation between show and tell and sneak attack. You're going to be able to sneak in a Blightsteel Colossus with this. You're going to be able to sneak in a Darksteel Colossus in Standard, for example, with this. There's some interesting things that can be done with this card. It'll give you some important redundancy if you're building around certain warp synergies, which I'm sure we'll talk about later in the show. And I just think it's a good card to keep an eye on. It also lets all of Evan's top 10, 8 mana do-nothings do something the turn you play it.
Hey,
which is really nice.
Those are very fun. 8 mana do-nothings.
One of the things I want to point out about this card is that they did something very particular in this set. There are several cards that say, when this permanent leaves the battlefield. It's not when it dies, which is a big deal because this feels like they're correcting a little bit for there being so many exile effects. So no matter what, your creature is effectively going to get to deal that damage, right? Because whether it dies or gets exiled, it's leaving the battlefield. It's going to do what it does. And I think that makes the card so much better than if it was just the creature had to die.
Yeah, this card, to me, as someone who deeply, deeply loves a big red deck, who just wants a mono red deck that isn't just little creatures attacking, to be able to do something, to be able to actually get there in the later rounds, this is the type of card that will do that. This is the type of card that said, okay, if you can ramp up, maybe ramp once or twice, get there, you're going to drop something stupid. It's going to wipe the whole board for you while also probably doing some crazy damage in other ways. Let's go. They've never put these effects together before, and if I got to pay 6 mana, I'll do that. I'm okay with that.
Hey, the Fire Crystal's still a thing. Still out there.
Okay, sure. See? I like the Fire Crystal on that one.
And I have a card later we'll talk about that will fit what you want to do as well.
There you go.
Perfect. All right, let's talk about Power Dragons number 10. What you got?
My number 10 kind of comes down to the same situation of the Colossus a little bit. If Station's good, then this card will probably be good. But we're going to talk about Drill 2 Deep. It is a colorless and a red, and this was, I think, one of the cards that came out on Friday with the last, common dump. But it's an instant. You get to choose one. You get to put 5 counters on target spacecraft or planet you control, or you destroy target artifact. So if you are playing big red things with Station, well, great. or planets or whatever, you can just instant speed put 5 counters on it, which is kind of a cool trick in combat or whatever if you need it. But also, if we are moving to a world where people are going to be playing more spacecrafts or robots, because there's a ton of artifact creatures that have to be robots in the set or whatever, having another card that destroys artifacts is also going to be reasonable. So for a common, I'm on board with this.
Having an instant speed way to station, or having an instant speed way to change the role of a spacecraft or a planet mid-combat or at the end of the turn is huge. And this is maybe the only way to do it. There might be another way to do it.
That's the only thing I found.
Yeah, this is pretty darn good.
Yeah, this card is dope. And, you know, if anything, I have really enjoyed Shatter or something. And because, you know, the card Shatter, the old school red and a colorless mana instant, is not good enough anymore. We are in 2025 Magic the Gathering, y'all. We can't have that. But what we can have is a modal card, almost kind of a temporary modal card, honestly, at this point.
Sure.
Is sort of what I'm expecting, is that we're always going to get a Shatter / something maybe cool that has to do with the set or the mechanic or, you know, whatever the themes are or whatever. And
I mean, there's lots of this effect, right? We've got a Braid, we've got Siege Smash, Untimely Malfunction. Like, there's lots of ways that we can say choose one, either destroy an artifact or do something else. And very often, I mean, all 3 of the cards I just named are very good. So there's a world where this is very good. Yeah, Suplex. Well, Suplex is sorcery
exiles,
speed.
and but it exiles is nice.
But still,
hey, I'll take it. I think it's cool. Like, you know, there's different times they kind of just dabble. Usually just one card that will do something really cool to interact with. Like, for example, like remove 5 loyalty counters or something from something.
Liliana's Defeat or something like that.
Right, remember that one? So there's, you know, they very rarely, but they'll give you those weird little tools of, well, maybe you can make something happen and surprise somebody. All right, let's move on here to number 9. Ruben, what is your number 9?
My number 9 is a card that is sneaking up on exactly nobody because it looks like very good cards of the past, such as Sheltered by Ghosts and Chained to the Rocks, but it's worth touching on anyway, and I'm glad I have it on my list because apparently nobody else put it there, and that is Hardlight Containment. 1 white mana aura. Enchant an artifact you control. That is a little difficult. You need to have an artifact in play to play the Hardlight Containment. When this aura enters, exile target creature and opponent controls until this aura leaves the battlefield. Enchanted permanent has Ward 1. Pretty good to be able to put this on something like a Darksteel Citadel, perhaps. Also not terrible to just put this on your Ornithopter or your, Springleaf Drum, your Lander token in Limited. There are pretty easy ways to get Hardlight Containment to be able to stay in play. The Ward 1 is nice. It's a nice little bonus. If you put it on a non-creature artifact, it'll be even harder to kill. So low cost of 1 mana, I'll take it.
Yeah, it's a cool card. I think it's going to be one of those ones that's just going to matter on what does the format look like, right? How many artifacts are the control decks or mid-rangey decks playing? But because it can go on any artifact, I mean, maybe you're playing like an Azorius aggro artifact build and you're just playing this as creature removal, right? Like, that's possible for 1 mana. It's not too bad.
I thought this card was uncommon. This is rare?
Yeah.
This card must be way, way better than I was giving it any credit for because, damn, why is it rare? A 1 mana exile a dork and give something Ward 1 is rare? Yeah, this card must be really sick.
I mean, Chained to the Rocks is not, is also a rare, and that had a little bit of a mountain to climb, no pun intended. But also Hardlight Containment in particular is going to be much better in Commander, where Soul Ring and Arcane Signet are in literally every deck. And then the higher up in competitive you go, the more artifacts there are, from the Moxen to Mana Vault to, you know, all manner of mana artifacts.
Wow. Yeah, I'm impressed. Again, I could have sworn this was an uncommon. I'm like, oh, that's a cool, you know, limited uncommon. Seems pretty good. You know, I'll run it. They also did like a portable hull reprint as an enchantment. I was like, that's pretty cool. I felt that was kind of similar. Clearly, this is way better than that, which I'm okay with. Power Dragon, what's number 9?
My number 9 is probably the most value we've had on a 2 mana card in a while. Maybe tied for the second most. There's another one in this set, actually.
I was going to say.
Sir Vandom Sunstar Exemplar. It's a black and a white, so 2 mana for a 2/2 legendary human knight with vigilance and menace, and 2 really good abilities. The first is whenever another creature you control dies or is put into exile, you put a +1/+1 counter on this card and you gain a life. And also, when this card dies or is put into exile, while its power is 4 or greater, destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent. That's a lot of value for 2 mana. Like on its face, it's a 2 mana, 2/2 vigilance menace, which is already reasonable. And it's a human and a knight, which fit a couple different deck types you could build around right now, which is also good. But just everything else that's dying, you get counters on it. And that includes stuff like the mobilized cards and things like that. Like you're just loading up counters on this thing, and then when he eventually dies, it gets to kill something else. Yeah. Like really cool 2 mana card for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, it obviously goes along really well with Warp as the set mechanic because those cards are exiling themselves. But because of the phrasing on this card, it goes in the black-white blink deck in Modern with Ketramos the New Dawn, because that deck also wants to be exiling stuff. So very powerful 2 mana card for sure.
Yeah, this card just has, it's one of those like the word, they just keep going. They're like,
yep.
And here's an upside, and here's an upside, and here's three lines of upside, and 3 more lines of upside. You're like, okay, thank you. We appreciate all of the ridiculous upsides this card has. Kill it now, shock it immediately, or you will probably suffer.
And it's another tool for like the sacrifice decks that want stuff, right? Like this fits perfectly in there if you're a Sephiroth fan, right? It fits those decks. Like there's a lot happening with this card. You can just squeeze this into a few decks that already exist.
And I think arguably the next card that I'm going to name as my number 9 could maybe go in the same deck. This is a card that arguably 3 mana does not affect the board. However, I think this card might secretly be a 4 mana card, and we'll find out why. The card I want to talk about is a mythic, and this is one of those cards I was reading through them, and I was like, okay. I think this just reads, like it reads good, but I think it'd actually be really, really powerful. And Cosmogrand Zenith. Cosmogrand Zenith is a white and 2 generic mana for a 2/4. First of all, 4 toughness. So 3 mana, 2/4. All right. What does she do? She's a mythic human soldier. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, and that's each turn, not just yours, on theirs, you either choose one, create 2 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens, or put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. And there are so many benefits, so many counter doublers. Do a thing because you put a counter, double the counters I put on this thing, trigger, whatever. This card, I think, can just get out of control. And if you play it as a 4 mana, this and a 1 mana anything, value, like just sick value. At that point, it's a 4 mana, 4/6 across 3 bodies, plus that ability can trigger at any point at anybody else's turn. Yes, this card seems awesome.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to how many cheap spells can we squeeze in to make it worth it. Because then you have like a supercharged monastery mentor kind of. Right? So, but your counters stay, your +1/+1s, right? They're not just prowess; they go away at the end of the turn. So yeah, there's some really cool stuff you could probably do with this card for sure.
Yeah, definitely feels like a monastery mentor for sure. But this one actually plays really well with mana dorks. And we've got Llanowar Elves, so Llanowar Elves turn 1 lets you play this on turn 2, but Llanowar Elves that you draw later in the game, usually bad. This is fine. This is fine later in the game, right? And there's lots of really excellent 1 mana warp creatures, in particular in white, that play really nicely with this, that allow you to double up your tokens or draw you extra cards or do some other stuff that'll allow you to get this trigger multiple times.
Right. And
I think the warp is a good call out there, though, because you also get to have the spell later, which can still allow you to have your 2 spells on turn 5 or your 2 spells on turn 6,
And if your turn 4 is Cosmogrand Zenith into Hardlight Containment, that's good, clean living. Make 2 1/1s, smash with whatever else is on the board. Like,
yeah, man.
Let's go.
I like that.
All I'm saying. All right, let's move on here to number 8. Mine is higher on somebody else's list, and that's okay. Ruben, what's your number 8?
Mine is also higher on somebody else's list.
Interesting.
Deep Power Dragon, you got us number 8?
Yeah, like this is a card I had not seen very many people talk about, but Elegy Acolyte. It's 2 black for a 4/4 human cleric with lifelink. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal damage to a player, you draw a card and lose a life. But it also has Void at the beginning of your end step if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn. Create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. There's a lot happening here, but I think the interesting thing is where it might fit in the mono black decks. Because mono black decks are losing Shieldred, they're losing Archfiend of the Dross, they're losing the 3/3 guy that when you deal damage, lose a life, draw a card, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's all going away. And this could be a good card to be in those slots. Just having the ability to, same thing, lose a life, draw a card. But also, just if things are dying in combat or whatever, it's like, great, I'm also getting extra bodies in the process. So, this is a cool card. Not one I've seen a lot of talk about, but I could see this filling a role in some of the mono black decks as they're needing to replace some pieces.
No, this is terrific. Basically this, it fills that Gix role, but also basically says that when the turn that you play them, like I'm going to attack now, and you're either going to let me draw a card and lose a life, or you're going to kill this thing, and I'm likely going to get a robot out of it. So pick your poison, right? And maybe there's triggers on stuff in the battlefield, or an artifact that you need to sacrifice, or whatever.
Or you just have a treasure in play. Also good.
That's true too.
I'm in the market for treasures to be able to cast this guy, much less be able to get the trigger on this guy. Yeah, when I first read this card, I was like, 4/4 lifelink with 2 positive abilities. That's pretty good for 5 mana.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that cost 4?
Exactly.
How is this a 4/4 lifelinker for 4 in black that has 2 positive abilities? That's crazy. So yeah, I think that there is room for this card. We've had a little bit of an up and down relationship with 2 black creatures in black because of Shieldred, because of other 4/5s and 6/6s. Masker Girl hasn't really done anything. There's a couple other 4/4s for 4 that are sitting on the wayside, but this one has a chance. Having lifelink is huge because you're able to recover from the aggro draws. Making extra bodies is huge because you're able to recover from the aggro draws. And then that middle ability, being able to get you card advantage, allows you to claw back into games against control decks. So this card does stuff against all types of decks.
Yeah, if you just cast this with a treasure token, you make a 4/4 and a 2/2, have one of the 4/4 lifelink and a 2/2 and say go.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome, and I love that. So we will take that every single time. Let's move on here to our number 7. Ruben, what's number 7?
My number 7 is a card that I don't think I've seen anybody talk about yet, but I want to discuss it and maybe theory craft as to if I'm dumb, if I'm bad at Magic, which of course I am. But I'm curious to know your thoughts on Synthesizer Lab Ship. So Synthesizer Lab Ship is a 1 blue mana rare spacecraft with station. At 2+, it says at the beginning of combat on your turn, up to 1 other target artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 2/2 and gains flying until the end of the turn. And at 9+, it becomes a 4/4 with flying and vigilance. So I'm assuming that we're hopefully playing this as soon as possible, maybe turn 2, actually. Let's play an artifact on turn 1. And then on turn 2, we're playing this in a Savannah Lions and turning our 1 mana artifact into a 2/2 attacker.
Okay.
And then that's our aggro draw, right? And we're playing a artifact aggro kind of situation. And later in the game, if we need a 4/4, if we need a Serra Angel, we've got a 4/4 flying vigilance. So I think that there's room here. I don't think that we have the crazy play 85 spells. We don't have any free artifacts in standard, I don't think, but in formats that have free artifacts, things like Mox Amber and Ornithopter, much less like a Springleaf Drum, I could see room with this with like an Emery in Modern, or other sort of like a blue artifact aggro kind of deck. So I want your thoughts. I'm not sold, but I want it on the list.
I was looking at pretty much all the spacecraft that have station less than 7, because that automatically means you'll be able to get to do something with them, right? Because that's the concern right now till we play with the cards more, is that once you're at like 8+, 9+, hell, some of these are 10, 12, how long are they going to sit there before they get to actually do something? Whereas this, I feel like, is going to do something within a turn of it hitting the battlefield. Right. So that already helps. And then if you have something to force the damage through, you get to draw something, whatever. It can work with a bunch of other cards. I don't know how often we get it to the 9+, but worst case scenario, if you're not going to do anything else with the 2/2, you're like, okay, well, I'll just tap and put some counters on this for later, and just charge it up. So yeah, I don't know. I think this has to at least be playable. I don't know if it's going to be in some top tier deck, but this feels like a card that has to at least be somewhat playable. I'm going to be really surprised if it's not.
I mean, for one thing, they made it as cheap as they could. You know what I mean? They couldn't make it half a blue mana. This was as low as they could go. If you want to immediately get a Stherraa Angel a couple turns later, Bygone Colossus says hello.
Sure.
Is that a part of it? I don't know. Should you play this turn 1, turn 2, activate it or whatever and try to get it that way? I don't know. Probably want to play an artifact on turn 1, like you mentioned. But yeah, this is, I don't know. The convoke nature of Station is still just messing with me. Plus the idea of, low mana, high power, and how playable those cards are with these cards. Is the payoff worth it? I don't know. But a 1-mana Stherraa Angel is 1 mana Flying Vigilance.
Time out. I just realized something. You can actually play these on just back-to-back turns. And one of them can trigger the other one as a Flying Vigilance. Well, it won't have abilities yet.
You'll have to turn it on or whatever, but then they can start, ping-ponging each other.
Well, the other value I find in Synthesizer Lab Ship is that once you get it up to 2 and it's doing its thing, cool, awesome. Then your opponent plays a Wrath, but then you're able to untap and turn it into a 4/4. Like, it's good recovery after a sweeper is what I like. What I also really like about Synthesizer Lab Ship. And it's a 1-mana card. Like, you can go get it with a Trinket Mage. So like there's something here. It's a deck building puzzle, I think. So
Urza Saga can go get it, right?
Nope, cannot.
Oh, it's
Urza Saga has to get a 0 or a generic. Can only go get zeros and ones.
Okay, fair enough. Either
but
way,
there is a new card that says you can go get an artifact that costs 0 or 1. I forget what it's called though.
All I know is
I think it's 1 or less.
Tezzeret can do it.
Right. We've all, I think, played enough Magic to know when it's as cheap as it can get. It's got a good recoverability. It's not terrible in multiples, and it's probably got something there, maybe good enough, but it's definitely worth considering. I like it. All right, let's move on here to my number 7. This is another one where just, the hairs kind of stand up a little bit and you go, those are a lot of words that I like. And, most of the way I would put it is, I think, just generally, the most any card can reward you is with more cards. However, whatever it's doing, whatever its effect is, if it's a creature, it's a spell, if it's giving you cards, that is rewarding you in ways that it can't reward you. Giving you mana is great, but I'd rather have cards than mana. All right, cool. So when I had all that in mind, and then I read Terra Symbiosis. Terra Symbiosis is a green and 2 generic mana for a rare enchantment. Yes, it's a 3-mana do nothing. How you doing? But whenever you put 1 or more +1/+1 counters on a creature you control, you may draw that many cards. Do this only once each turn. I don't care about the once each turn. I can put a lot of counters on a lot of cards really quickly these days, and just one of those activations, just one Hydra I play from my hand, and I'm drawing how many cards again? That's a lot. That's a hell of a payoff. And 2 of these things on the board? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I'm with you here. Like, I mean, I do care about the 1 each turn, but if you're still getting, even 3 cards for one creature or one thing that puts 3 counters on different creatures or whatever, like, yeah, sure, why not? Right? Like, even if you're just getting 1 extra card,
I was just going to say,
something puts on, like, that's still fine.
You played a dude and drew you a card? Yes.
Like, you can play, what is it? The Brushwag from Outlaws that just puts a counter every turn, and then when it attacks, doubles counters or whatever. Like, just for your 1 counter, get a card every turn.
The new Chocobo guy does the same thing, remember?
Yeah, why not? Right?
Bruh.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot to love here with this card. I mean, it goes in every Hardened Scales commander deck. It goes in every counters commander deck that you could possibly imagine. But even beyond that, you're right. It's good with Zha's Chocobo. It's good with even just 1 counter, and you're already living large. Bristly Bill.
If you just play that 1-mana Chocobo and you play a land, put a counter on, draw a card, I
Oh,
love
what about
that. I love that.
the green X Hydra that has
Yeah.
Yes.
haste and trample or whatever? Like,
Yes.
just play
We've
that
also
for
still
5,
got
get 5 cards. I'm down.
Mythborn Hydra or Mossborn Hydra, the one that doubles its power for each land you play.
Yeah.
So you could play that on 3. Hold on, we can go Land Rails turn 1, 1/1 Hydra on 2.
This one on 2. This one turn 2.
Play this. We could. So I want to play the Hydra on 2, and I'll tell you why.
Right.
Because on turn 3 we play this, we play like a fetch land. Then we play this. Then we activate the fetch land, and we get 2 card draws instead of just 1. And we have a 4/4 Hydra. And the next turn we'll get 4 card draws. I mean, there's a lot to love about this card. For sure.
To me, the bottom line is, my opponent plays this card, I am scared to death. Like, if I let them untap with this card, I don't feel like I'm going to win that game. You know what I'm saying? Like, because they're going to draw some cards off of it if I let them untap with it in play. Like,
yo, you know where this is really insane? With Insidious Roots.
Oh, sure.
Which is losing some enablers. It is losing Tyvar.
I like that.
Yeah, but like you put counters on 3 things, get 3 cards.
Yeah.
Right. Next turn, during your opponent's end step, you remove a thing from your graveyard. Get
because it counts instances as opposed to targets.
Oh my God. Cool. I'm telling you guys, this card is bonkers. All right, cool. I love it. Let's move on to Power Dragons number 7. What you got?
My number 7 is one that I don't know how good it's going to be, but it's another one that just has the right words that it has to do something that I'm going to hate. So Stherraa the Super Void. 2 black for a legendary enchantment. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent chooses a creature they control and exiles it. At the beginning of your end step, if a player controls no creatures, sacrifice this, then put a creature card exiled with it onto the battlefield under your control with 2 additional +1/+1 counters. Yeah, my thing here is other versions of this card, I lose something, you lose something, have tend to at least a little bit playable.
Yeah.
And we now live in a world with a bunch of things that make tokens. Hell, the Mobilize stuff makes tokens that die. All right. So like that's automatically means your opponent's going to lose 1 to 3 creatures every time you attack. So my only issue with this is, does your opponent lose their battlefield too fast to where you don't get a lot of value off this? But do you even care? If they just lost the board and you get their creature +2, okay, maybe that's still fine for 4 mana. Like, I don't know. Like, this card feels like it's going to be super ridiculously annoying, or you're just not going to care that much. And I don't know which it is.
I got a huge kick out of there was a little video, I think it's on Instagram or maybe their TikTok or something. They actually showed how they chose the foiling for like the super like high-end foiling thing they have on the like the textless version or whatever. And it's really cool and it's really rad. And they had like 9 ways to do it, and they got to pick their favorite one. But yeah, that was really awesome, and good luck getting it because it's over $200. Right. But yeah, this card is rad. If nothing else, this is like a casual all-star. This is a commander table for years and years and years. Is right behind your grave pack. There's gonna be Stherraa right behind it. Like, I just don't see.
Oh, you want a target on your head at the commander table? Drop this bad boy.
Yeah. I also really like
this. No good, guys. Leave me alone.
Right. I also really like this with Mobilize in particular, because I believe this is an intervening if clause. Judges in the comments can get at me if not, which means that at the beginning of your end step, you aren't going to have to sacrifice Stherraa when you sacrifice your Mobilize tokens.
You get to choose the order of the stack. So.
Right. So you'll be able to keep it around, and your opponent is going to untap with no creatures in play with a Stherraa on the board.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. I think that this card has been decried a little bit of like, it doesn't really do it doesn't do enough to be the focus card of the set, right? But they made it the focus card of the set. It's probably going to do something. At the very least, it's on a Grave Pact, and Grave Pact has pretty much always seen some play.
Yeah. I was thinking about it in terms of the popular Sephiroth decks right now, or the Raise the Past decks, where you're already playing like Bartholomew that you can just sacrifice stuff to directly.
Yep.
Right. There's the Mobilize guys that, again, have tokens that just die. So, like, your opponent's going to be forced to lose stuff one way or the other when you play this.
Yeah. I mean, Eternal Formats in the chat is correct. Now, if regardless of how you stack the triggers, if your opponent has no creatures and that second ability goes off, one player has no creatures, so it's going to happen. But if you leave them with like 1 creature and you took 2 away, I'm cool with that, and I think that's cool. It also triggers only at the beginning of your end step, so like
Right.
Mhm.
it's not every end step, so they can't kind of make it happen. Only you get to you can work around that. So I think that's really cool. And yeah, ultimately, again, just I love a good casual card, and this clearly is one. So high five. All right, let's move on here to number 6. Ruben, what's number 6?
My number 6 is also a black card, and I'm very excited by this card personally. It's a bit of a role player. It's a bit of a unsung hero, and it's gonna either be a 4 of or a 0 of. And I don't know if it's good, but Night's Whisper used to be real good, and so Hymn of the Faller, I believe, will also be real good, and so I'm very excited for it.
Number 8?
Hymn of the Faller. Oh, it was your number 8. Nice.
That's right.
Is a generic and a black for surveil 1 and then draw a card and then lose a life. But if you have, the void triggers, if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn, or if a spell was warped this turn, you draw another card. So if you're able to trigger the void, that's surveil 1, draw 2 cards, lose 1 life. That's pretty good. That's pretty good value. You're able to look at 3 cards. You're able to do it at the low cost. And even if you're not getting the void, you're already looking at 2 cards for the low cost of 1 life and 2 mana. So I think that this card's pretty great.
Yeah, I was thinking about it in terms of the like mono black hyper aggro stuff we've been seeing with like Cecil, Dark Confidant. This could definitely fit in that type of build because your creatures are going to be dying running them in. You're like, okay, for 2 mana, like I'll get 2 cards, lose life. Like that's like the worst thing that happens. Great.
Hell
Let's
yeah.
do it.
I mean, I'm on board.
Yeah,
I mean,
at least
lose
3 copies
a
of this feels
creature?
like it'll show up there.
Yeah.
I mean, this is my number 8 for a reason. This is where I was looking through all the cards, trying to find, what cards could be like super crazy good. No one's talking about them, but there's just such value in there. A, what did I say about rewarding? It rewards you with a card. B, super crazy eager to trigger this. Just using a treasure token, whatever, smashing in. There's black-white decks that want to sacrifice everything all the time for value. It's easy to do that here. And
not
draw 2
only
cards
that,
and
but this could
surveil-
go in a this could go in a control deck. On turn 3, I kill your 2/2, and then I play him.
Yeah. Cool. 2 mana, 2 cards. I surveilled 1, like all that, and I lost 1 life. Sure. Like,
yeah,
this
great.
is really,
and
really
again,
good.
It's not even a creature has a die. It's a non-land permanent leaves the battlefield. So
right. So
treasure,
turn 3, you can
maps,
Fable
whatever.
Passage. Yeah.
Not Fable Passage because it's non-land. But
Yeah.
Oh, right.
But that's
Never
really
mind.
cool. But that's where you're at sort of at this card. This card is one of those it's so good. You go, oh man, this is all what aggro needs. And then you go, wait a minute, what if the control deck throws you?
Right.
Mhm.
Yep.
Bauble.
Bauble.
Many times. Yeah, Bauble's great. Yeah, but Hymn of the Faller.
Yeah, that was weird. I didn't
Hymn of the
like that
Faller.
one. It did sound like it sounded like Evan was talking about his neighbor who lives down the road. Him in the Faller.
Down the holler, the Faller down the holler.
Yeah.
Him down in the Faller.
It was weird because I think I saw 2 or 3 cards in the set that referenced the Faller,
Yeah.
which is some type of person or being or something in the story. Because I
get
did the
it.
same thing. I was like, is this a typo? Because
Yeah.
I feel like you should be falling.
Faller is a weird
I
word
wrote
for
Fallen,
sure.
and then I went back and I went, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just seems weird. It's fine, obviously, who cares, but it's just weird. All right, let's move on here to Power Dragons number 6. What you got?
My number 6 is the other card in the set that's 2 mana and has a bajillion things that it does.
Yep.
And that's Frenzied Baloth. Just greens, 3/2 beast, and 5 things. Like, I don't even know why, but it can't be countered. It has trample, haste, creature spells you control can't be countered, and combat damage can't be prevented. I'm here for all those things in a green aggro deck. Just, you can't counter my stuff. This thing's going to get to bash you after a sweeper. Like, you can't do anything to color protect your stuff, so they prevent damage or whatever. Like, yeah, I'm here for all this.
Yeah. This was my number 8.
Nice.
How many words can we put on a 2 mana creature that has 2 toughness and doesn't have ward or hexproof? How busted, how big, how nasty can we make a green creature that can just that just dies to shock? And here we are. This is the high watermark for what this is now, and it's the high watermark by a wide margin at this point. 3/2 haste in mono green is already kind of ludicrous.
Yeah.
Then it can't be countered, which is also kind of crazy.
Very good.
Obviously this card's very bad against red. Obviously against a red deck of any kind, you're just going to be, oh, this is not what we want to be doing.
Right.
But basically anything else, like it's good against white because damage can't be prevented, so it gets around protection. It's good against blue because it can't be countered. I think that, and against black, your thing was going to die anyway to a sacrifice effect, so that doesn't really matter. So Frenzy Baloth, well deserving of hype, and I'm excited to see if it's good and when it's good.
Yeah, I mean, we've lived through the era of them trying to sort of give green the anti-blue creature that matters. And they've tried and tried, and whether it was the stag or whatever they did.
Right. Sometimes they succeed.
The stag was pretty good.
The stag was real good.
The great grandfather of Frenzy Baloth was Scragnoth.
Yes.
Then
the OG.
Then we got Quagnoth and Future Sight, and then we got stuff like Great Sable Stag and Mistcutter Hydra. They've been good occasionally. They've been fine occasionally. There was a spider, I think, that had protection from blue that was like halfway decent for a second. This is the first time we've gotten anything this cheap. Most of the time, that effect costs at least 4.
Yeah, I'm just trying to imagine how this came to be. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because it has so many. I just feel like there were 2 creatures between these abilities, and they said, what if we put it on one? What if we put it on one?
I earnestly believe that this was a thought experiment. I earnestly think that Frenzy Baloth was a day between in research before development where they said, hey guys, how ridiculous can we make a 2-drop with 2 toughness in green?
Right.
And we don't give it ward or hexproof or shroud or protection.
Right.
Just a 3/2 that can die to shock. How many things can we stack on one card and get it through development? And this is the answer to that thought experiment.
The way it feels to me is that they know something. You know what I mean? Like, whether it's in this set or it's in Spider-Man or it's in Avatar, but something in the next 6 months, there will be some deck types that are, whether it's control being really big or haste being a relevant thing or whatever, that we need to make a thing that the, let's say, green or Gruul decks can have, but also needs to be able to be dealt with. And what does that look like? And we'll just keep stacking words on here till we get that thing.
Right. Yeah. Let me throw out some speculation. I'm just going to speculate here. But for me, what jumps out to me most about this card is the combat damage can't be prevented. Why?
Yes.
Because that allows them to put protection from X on things, whether it be colors or we're about to have a Spider-Man set. And what if there was protection from heroes or protection from villains?
Oh, sure. Okay.
This would override that, right? And so you're like,
we've also got hero tokens in Final Fantasy. That's kind of sweet.
Right.
But I've also thought just character abilities being superheroes that just prevent the next 3 damage or prevent damage from X, right? That could be a thing.
So
it also prevents Turbo Fog from ruining everybody's lunch.
Yeah, I love that too in older formats.
Yeah, man, it's so funny. We walk along the Turbo Fog ledge and we don't know how close we are until we fall off.
Until we fall off. Exactly
right. Oh my God, they made one too many fogs and none of them ways to stop it and we're screwed. Yep. It's happened, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so for my number 6, and this card is apparently one of the sort of buy a bundle bonuses that's on Arena.
Okay.
And I can see why, because I think it's great. It's pre-ordered for a decent amount, and I think it's a really cool creature. This is Halaya Guided by Light. This is a white and 2 generic mana, 3/3 rare legendary human soldier. So it could be in the soldier stack. Whenever she or another creature or artifact you control enters, you gain 1 life, and creatures can make artifacts pretty easily. And at the beginning of your end step, draw a card if you've gained 3 or more life this turn. And also, it has warp of 1 white generic mana. Again, right behind Cosmo Grand Zenith, and for your 1 mana, right? Easy to gain life like crazy for that. Literally, think about it. A Cosmo Grand Zenith into a 1 mana right behind her, Halaya, means you made 2 1/1s, so you gain a life for them entering, and that's 2 right there. So you can gain a life in the middle of that somewhere anyway. there's bonuses on bonuses on this card. The warp is super duper low, I think, for a good reason. And that just makes it very potent. And white gain life stuff, I mean, that's always popular.
I mean, this is a Soul Sisters card, right? Like this is turn 1 Soul Warden. Yeah. Turn 2, warp this, play another Soul Warden, draw a card at the end of the turn because you've gained 3 life.
Hell yeah.
That's good. That's good, clean living. I like great. That. I like that out of us. Hey, listen, if I'm drawing cards in my mono white deck, I'll take that.
I'll push you one more and say it doesn't even have to be a Soul Sister deck. We have that deck in Standard. There are mono white life gain decks that are actually reasonable, and you see them on the ladder all the time. Like they're looking for this type of card. Yeah, because this is just extra value. And now you can play that alongside the Redeemer, the Angel, that when it gets a counter on it, when you gain life, you get to draw a card. So like
Exemplar of light.
Yeah, it means they will always be able to have cards, and this is just another way to gain life and trigger your stuff. So yeah, this will have a home immediately on day 1.
Right, and it's got like wrath protection thanks to the warp, you know? You warp it in, you do your stuff, you draw a card with it, then you put it off to the side, and now you can wrath my board all you want. But I got a 3-mana 3/3 over here that's about to give me more value and can draw me more cards later. Like, oh, just love that. I think it's great. And
do we have any
price to move?
Do we have any 1-mana creatures with lifelink in the set?
I don't think
not in this set, but in standard, yes.
Standard,
yes. There's a Hawk.
Yeah.
Oh, Healer's Hawk. Okay, great. Yeah, like I mean, I feel like we can figure that out.
Yeah, there's a 1/1 Hawk that does it. There's also the other one that has a scry if you lost a creature or had a permanent go to the graveyard during that turn.
Okay,
like
that exists. Right? Yeah,
I think there's a Moogle that has lifelink also.
Oh, there might be.
The 1-mana 1/2, right?
Yeah.
Can give your opponent
so like there's a way to mitigate when you need to gain the life and how you gain the life. Yeah. There's some ways to do this.
Yeah. All I'm saying is this card is clearly priced to move. They clearly noted it was a good one. They give it away with bundles, I think, for a reason. Why? Because life gain stuff and new players, chocolate and peanut butter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's great. Love that. No one likes to gain life more than a new player. It's crazy. So let's move on here to number 5. Ruben, what's number 5?
My number 5 is a boring one because we all know it's going to be good, but I might as well put it on the list because someone should put it on the list. It is Seam Rip. Seam Rip is one white mana with absolutely gorgeous Sam Gay art. Ooh. Sam, I assume, related to Rebecca, not only because of the name, but also look at this art. Seam Rip is a one white mana enchantment uncommon from the new set that says when this enchantment enters, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls with mana value 2 or less until this enchantment leaves the battlefield. Everybody loved Portable Hole. We love Portable Hole, but Portable Hole is an artifact. Yep. This is an enchantment, which is much more relevant when you've got Eerie as a keyword in things like Duskmourn and Murders of Markov Manor. Lots more enchantment synergies than artifact synergies in Standard. Seam Rip, even with no synergy, gonna see play. With synergy, certainly gonna see play.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I don't think this is anything that's going to surprise anyone. I think we will see this card played like other versions of it. 1 mana exile a thing till this goes away. Of nearly every variety, at least gets considered. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this one will definitely get some play.
Yeah, I mean, this is the type of card I think that makes Wizards gnash their teeth when we're complaining about the mouse deck and we're complaining about Monstrous Rage or whatever, and they're like, this upgraded Portable Hole, it's coming. It's going to be harder to remove. It's going to be really effective against all these super aggro decks that you're really not happy to play against. And it's like, I think you could have made that argument for almost any set that we talked about in the last 6 months. Every set had some good removal. Every set had a way to get rid of something early. You know what I mean? And yeah, you need like a mass, of those to really make a dent. And this one's a great one. I don't know if it would have stopped the train that was rolling as hard as it was when they banned 7 cards.
Probably not, but it's fine. Like, things are allowed to be good, and when they break, we're allowed to ban cards. Also, this is the Portable Hole that lets all the Enchantress decks draw extra cards in Commander. Also, we have a new temporary lockdown.
Right.
If you remember, temporary lockdown removed all non-land permanents that cost 2 or less, whereas the new one removes all artifacts and creatures.
Yeah.
Whereas temporary lockdown would remove your own portable hole, the new thing won't remove your own seam rip. So like you can play both in the same deck together.
You know what? In both Commander and probably even Legacy formats with the Enchantress style decks, like this card can be really good.
For sure. I would be actually not surprised to see this see play in Legacy.
Yeah, this could be really good.
It's as cheap as they could have made it, and it's a very relevant, type of card type, and it's very powerful for what it does. I mean, portable hole's great. This is even better. All right, Power Dragon. What's number 5?
Number 5, I had to have at least one spacecraft on my list because we are in the Edge of Eternity space set. So I went with the Serma. It's a colorless white, so 3 mana for a spacecraft. When it enters, you can search your library for a legendary creature, reveal it, put it into your hand. And then at 7+, it has flying, and other taps legendary creatures you control have it indestructible, and it is a 5/5. What I like about this is that various versions of the Naya and Selesnya legends are already playable. And this is a card that says, just go get the thing you're missing or that you want, whether it's the one that pumps all your creatures, whether you want to go get Halana and Elena to give your stuff haste, whatever it is. But when you play it, you also get to tap your things. They'll have legend indestructible, while this now becomes a 5/5, which is also really cool. So yeah, I like what this is doing. It's cheap. It's a tutor, which is awesome, and a deck full of legends. They don't even have to be only legends. I mean, you might have 3 or 4 different ones you can go pick from, which also makes it viable. But yeah, just a really cool card. And I think if a spacecraft is going to get played, this is probably one of them.
I almost picked Lumen class frigate, which is
I did too. I almost picked that.
I was right there because it's turned on so quickly and so easily, and then it's a 3/5 lifelink later. But and I can agree this one might be the better one just for tutoring reasons and the special ability at 7+. 7+ is a very low number compared to the rest of them. But this is not a bad choice, and I think this spacecraft is rad, and I like it.
Yeah, I think that white has the best spacecraft from a standard competitive standpoint. I think the Serma, even though it was like one of the first cards spoiled and like showcased what spacecraft are going to do and what station can do, the fact that it replaces itself, the fact that it's relatively innocuous in play, but it's going to be especially good in control decks where you can have your 1 or 2 creatures be legendary, tap them to crew your Serma, and then play a Wrath and get one-sided Wraths out of that. And I think that's very exciting.
Well, other tapped legendary creatures you control have indestructible, so it doesn't. Yeah. So you can't.
It doesn't save itself.
Right, it doesn't save itself, but I mean, it would save them. Save base effect and so on. Yeah. So I think that's rad. I mean, again, be able to tutor is really cool. I really appreciate it. I know this is silly, but in some ways, I appreciated of all the cards to be spoiled super early, and not Wizards approved, but spoiled super early. It was this one. Because it was like, oh my God, there's spacecraft. Oh my God, there's station. Oh, it's telling you how station works. It's a really cool ability. You know what I mean? Like all that stuff was really rad of all the spacecraft. This is actually a really good one to start off with, which is really cool. All right, let's move on here to my number 5. And this card is rad. This card is super cool. There's a very small amount of names in Magic, card names, that are 1 or 2 words. Generally, this is 1 word with the in front of it, which is okay. I also think they probably called this 1 word and then they put the in front of it because there was a problem with legendary things not being clearly known as legendary. So it's the blank to let you know that it is the Endstone. The Endstone is the control player's best friend. It's 7 generic mana. It's a mythic legendary artifact. It says whenever you play a land or cast a spell, draw a card. We talked about rewards. At the beginning of your end step, your life total becomes half your starting life total rounded up. Who cares less about their life total than the control deck? And if you can't deal 10 damage to them when they tap out for this, the game's probably over because they're going to start to draw cards like absolute crazy. They're not going to stop. It's going to be a complete rollover. And if nothing else, this is a casual all-star, even if it never reaches constructed tables.
Yeah, sure. I hate it. Like, it's one of those things that as soon as it hits the table, you're just gonna have an insane uphill climb. Right? Because it's just any spell, even. It's just like you just play Magic and you're gonna be getting extra cards. just because.
Mhm.
It's like, man, this card's going to be so hard to deal with once it hits.
Yeah. Every card that has said something along the lines of that first sentence, whenever you play a land or cast a spell, draw a card, and then is followed up by some sort of drawback, has seen play at some point. I'm thinking in particular of Recycle and Null Profusion, but also Flubs the Fool. Lest us forget that Flubs, everybody's favorite Teamer 05, the only Teamer 05 probably, also has a crazy drawback and has an effect like this. This one doesn't even do it when you play it. It doesn't matter if you play Endstone and you just win the game, the drawback never came into effect.
No.
Losing half your life total, sure, that can have an effect. That can be bad sometimes, particularly if you're playing this in a deck with like a Bolus's Citadel. But you're probably playing this in a deck with the new 7-mana Ugin that gains you life every time you plus it. Right. You're probably, maybe you're playing this in like a Tron deck that has Worm Coil Engine that also gains you life. So there are lots of ways to mitigate losing half your life. And I'll gladly pay life total as a resource to draw extra cards with Necropotence, with Phyrexian Arena, with Dark Confidant, and now with the Endstone.
But I'd say most of the time, you're not even going to lose half. You're maybe giving up. You're going from like 14 to 10.
Right.
You know? So like, would you play this if it said pay 4 life, do this thing, and now you get value forever? Like, yeah, right. Absolutely.
Well, for me, it's about gaining that life. You know what I mean? Like,
that's also true.
Because for control decks, your life is a resource. Your life can go to 1. You don't lose unless it's 0. So go to 1. Play this. Go to 10. You just gain 9 life. And for me, it's like the literal default of how do you make a card better in Magic is to draw a card onto it.
Yeah.
This does for everything, lands and spells.
Sure. Now it's going to be hard. This card is bad if you're behind, right? This card is fine if you're at parity, but like pretty dangerous if you're at parity.
It's a bit win more if you're already at an advantage, right?
And so that's the issue, right? Is where does this go if not a combo deck? I think that like ramping or reanimating the Endstone instead of paying retail, or ramping with like your crazy colorless ramping sources like Tron or Cloudpost or something is where this will live instead of in a traditional control deck.
Sure. All right, let's move over to number 4 now. Somebody shares my number 4. Does someone else have a same?
That would be me.
All right, so let's let Ruben go first, and we'll talk about our number 4. Ruben, what's your number 4?
Okay, well, my number 4 is another one of these cards that's like, you don't have to keep putting stuff on this card. Like, it was good after the first ability. It was good after the second ability. We don't need this whole other third ability on IceTill Explorer. I'll take it, but boy, like, what are we doing with these creatures now? So IceTill Explorer is 2 generic green for a 2/4 insect scout that says you can play an additional land on each of your turns. I'm already sold. Like, stop digging, you struck oil. You may play land cards from your graveyard. Oh my gosh. Now with our fetch lands, we're able to play lands from our fetch lands from our graveyard twice a turn. And when a land you control enters, we mill a card. Which, if we're playing a Jund or Abzan sort of graveyard synergy, we want more stuff in our graveyard anyway. It's got 4 toughness, so it's able to survive a lightning bolt. It's got 2 power, so it actually can attack or block 3/1s at a reasonable rate. And it has an effect the turn you play it in that you can play an additional land, even if it's 1 in your graveyard. So this does so much for a deck, and it's incredible.
Yeah, I like it. I would say there's so many things right now that are caring about landfall that I don't even know what the best version of landfall is going to look like now.
Yeah.
Because right now we see a lot of the hyper aggro version with like Tifa and whatever, but now there's stuff to like play this thing, gain a life, play stuff out of your graveyard, do this thing, make a token, blah, blah, right? This could enable a lot of silliness. Mm-hmm. I mean, seriously, this could be, if the landfall decks become a thing, this could definitely be one of the key cards that those decks want.
Now, I know they made a change a few years ago, and thank you so much, Wizards, for doing so, to actually put the word landfall on abilities that trigger when you play a land. There for a minute, there were multiple creatures that had that ability, but didn't actually have landfall. And finally,
Yeah.
they're like, well, you want to build a keyword deck, and landfall's not in on these cards. It kind of should be. And yeah, so they did. High five. And there's just cannot be a Timmy or a Spike that exists on this planet who plays Magic the Gathering, who does not dream in their dreamiest of dreams, right? As you're pulling into the station, right, of Magical Christmas Land, of getting IceTill Explorer and Strip Mine together in your sealed or your draft deck. And if you do, you must shout to the rooftops. You must take pictures. You must tag everyone, including Wizards at Wizards Magic. They want to know because it is very, very rare, and your opponent is going to hate you so much.
Yeah, you won't have any friends after that tournament.
Yeah,
Right.
no, it'll be strip. Okay, strip, and they'll be like, "Wait, what?" And then they'll swoop,
that'll
and
be a problem.
and they'll huff off, and they'll be like, "I cannot believe it's got,"
Yeah.
1%.
Also, I know this is kind of unrelated, but I just realized what's really good at stationing spaceships, which is Cactuar.
Mm-hmm.
So if you really like stretching your imagination, just imagine a Cactuar driving a spaceship.
There you go. All right. So for hour number 4, I'll say what it does, and then we'll get some analysis from Power Dragon.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is a card that we spoke about on the cast proper because it's ridiculous. It's gotten no less ridiculous. It is pre-ordering for almost $25, and there's a good reason for that. It is arguably the scariest 4-mana 1/3 ever made in the history of Magic, and that is Ouroboros. Yeah, it is 2 green, 2 generic mana for a mythic plant worm. 4 mana for a 1/3, and you go, what in God's name could justify 2 green and 2 generic mana for a 1/3 mythic? At the beginning of combat on your turn, put X +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, includes this one, where X is this creature's power. It immediately is a 2/4 that powers up literally everything else, and then God help you if you ever let them untap with this card. It's crazy.
Yeah, like I don't even know what a plant worm is supposed to look like, but so that's already weird. But plants are a thing in the set as well. There's a lot of plant things, so I don't know if that'll be a thing. But man, we've been looking for pieces for +1/+1 counter decks. It's just like they kind of needed one more thing in standard to like what would make these scary, what is something that's self-contained that can do some big stuff. And they didn't really have that piece. But now this is the 4-mana card that those decks want. Like just juicing, even if you just go turn 1 anything, turn 2 anything, turn 3 anything, this thing, like great. Like that's fine. They're all going to be above right now. And you now have to kill this or else everything else is going to be gigantic, right? On the following turns. Like this card has so much value. And I think $25 weirdly might be close to the floor on this card for a little while. Definitely. Because one, every commander deck that plays +1/+1 counters wants this. And additionally, this is going to be one of those sets that's not going to be opened very much once we turn over to Spider-Man in 6 weeks. Yeah. So there may not be a ton of these floating around for a minute. So yeah, I could see the price on this even going higher.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this card, we've seen a lot of these +1/+1 counter pieces in our top 10 already, and there's even more as people develop the set. But just with Zaz, Chocobo, and Llanowar Elves, we've got our turn 1 plays. We've got Bristly Bill. There's got to be another good +1/+1 counter 2 drop. And then Terra Symbiosis, as you referenced earlier, is our card draw engine. You play an Ouroboros with 2 other creatures in play and Terra Symbiosis, and you're drawing 3 cards immediately.
Yep.
So, I mean, at the very least, it's a 2/4 by itself that threatens to get bigger, and at the very least, it's almost never happening.
Yeah, this is wild. I don't know, man. This is one of those where, like, I know Doomblade exists, but my God, if you don't have it, it's for 4 mana is incredible value. All right, so let's move on here to number 3. Now, again, on the wavelength, who has the same number 3 as I?
This one is me, and I think it's easy to know why.
Fair enough. Let's go ahead and let Power Dragon talk about his number 3, and we'll get to ours.
This was weird when I saw this card previewed, because I was like, okay, we kind of thought these might be extraterrestrial of some level, but now we have confirmed proof that Thrumming Hive Pool, for its 6 colorless mana, says that we have slivers from space. So it's an artifact that has affinity for slivers, which is wild. Again, slivers are popular, so this card will always have value in the future. Get them now. But slivers you control have double strike and haste, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you create 2/1/1 colorless sliver creature tokens, which basically means you're creating 4 power worth of slivers every turn, technically. We do have some creatures already in standard that count as multiple creature types or that are changelings. We know we're going to go to Lorwyn beginning of next year that's going to have changelings. There's a lot of stuff we could do with it, even for just token decks. This just gives you 2 more bodies that can trigger stuff every time. Like, this could just be the uppers end in an aggro deck. Just say, all right, you have a sweeper, whatever. I'll just play my hive pool. I'm just making 2 guys every turn, right? Like, this card's going to find its way into some weird decks as a one of. And hell, this could even be in control decks, honestly, if it wanted to be.
Sure.
Like, just make multiple blockers every turn. Like, this is a wild card to even see existence in the set, but I'm here for it.
You better, y'all Magic players better thank your lucky stars they didn't make this thing mythic. If this is mythic, it would be $50 plus, would never go down. You know, we'd hope it gets reprinted in a master set or whatever.
Easy.
And we still would, even at rare. Like, it's still pre-ordered for 18 right now. It's going to be higher than that before it's over, probably $20 plus for its entire lifetime. And that's great. It adds money to the set, adds value to the set. And it just lets the sliver players have another cool toy. And you don't have to give them a ton of them, right? This is what, one sliver thing? And all the sliver players are going out of their minds? Like,
right.
That's awesome. Just give them.
Think about this in a sliver deck even. You're making 2 guys that probably have 4 abilities with double strike and haste.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but think of all the existing ones out there get double strike and haste too, right? The ones you already have on the field. So
I think that, you know, for standard, at the very least, we have Mutavault, right? We have Mutavault coming. Sure. And I think we have another changeling land in standard.
Well, Mutavault's not going to be in standard. Mutavault's like that reprint set thing.
Oh, is it not?
No, but you have a 2-mana artifact. It's like a 2/1 that you can filter mana in.
That's right. We've got 3 tree mascot, and we've got Bark.
Torian Mauler
actually
harvester. Exists as well. Torian Mauler is in Foundations, I believe.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of changelings from Bloomburrow. We've also got Soulstone Statuary from Foundations.
That can be any creature type or all creature types.
But even, like you said, even by itself, even as just a 6-mana artifact that makes 2 bodies that have double strike and haste, it's kind of good enough as a control finisher.
Yeah, I think we might not really see any of this happen, at least probably in constructed, until we go back to Lorwyn and we have like some really good changelings. And because once this thing costs like 4 mana, it's really, really, really good. 6 mana, it's fine. But 4 mana, we're really cooking with gas. All right, let's move over to Ruben and I's number 3 as we bounce back and forth here. It is Tezzeret Cruel Captain. This card is rad. We only get 1 Planeswalker. That's fine. At least we get some Planeswalkers. Don't give us a set with no Planeswalkers. Tezzeret Cruel Captain, however, is super rad. His price to move is very expensive. I think largely because of older formats, but we'll get to that. Tezzeret Cruel Captain is 3 generic mana. Full stop. That is a Planeswalker for 3 generic mana. You thought Karn pushed the boundaries. No. Down to 3 we go. Mythic, legendary Planeswalker Tezzeret. With the static ability of whenever an artifact you control enters, you put a loyalty counter on Tezzeret, because that's fair. It starts with 4 loyalty counters. It has 0: untapped target artifact or creature. If it's an artifact creature, put a +1/+1 counter on it. -3: search your library for an artifact creature with mana value 1 or less, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. And for -7, you get an emblem with, quote, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put 3 +1/+1 counters on target artifact you control. If it's not a creature, it becomes a 0/0 robot artifact creature. That is not until end of turn. That turns into a robot with 3 +1/+1 counters on it forever, which is rad. Ruben, go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't need the ultimate on this creature, but it's also, or on this Planeswalker, but it's also 3 generic mana for a 4 loyalty Planeswalker. That's going to be very difficult to deal with on even like a relatively empty board. The 0 ability of being able to untap an artifact is huge, particularly in Commander, where you've got things like Soul Ring and Mana Vault and Basalt Monolith. Search your library for an artifact card with mana value 1 or less, also Soul Ring, also Mana Vault. But you then can also go get key pieces to whatever combo it is you're trying to get. I'm thinking of course, like Manifold Key in Vintage to be able to untap Time Vault, or Skull Clamp, or your Graveyard Hate that you've put in your deck, like a Grafdigger's Cage or a Tormod's Crypt or something like that.
Crypt, good old fashioned, right?
Yeah, exactly. So in Vintage, this is 3 mana, go get a Mox or go get a Black Lotus. In Commander, this is 3 mana, go get a Soul Ring, go get a Mana Vault. Or a Mox, like a Chrome Mox or a Mox Diamond. Even in Standard, being able to untap a mana artifact or a mana creature to be able to sit back on defense is a huge deal. So if you're able to play like a Llanowar Elf and then play this on turn 2 and untap the Llanowar Elf and make it a 2/2, we're already kind of unbeatable at that point, right?
Well,
so
it won't
I like it.
It won't give a counter because if it's only gives a counter if it's an artifact
creature.
Yeah, it's artifact creature.
But again, your point still remains. Untapping Llanowar Elf is still very, very powerful. That protects it in a way that it really had no protection otherwise. And giving that bonus to an artifact creature is amazing. So like, and in Vintage, this thing is ridiculous. Like in Vintage, you play this thing and then add like 3 counters onto it and then go find something stupid and go do other things that are stupid.
In Vintage, this will see play. In Commander, I believe, not just because it's colorless, but also because of its synergy, it will be by far the most played Planeswalker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like Vintage formats and Commander are really driving the price on this card. Because, man, that's a high ticket for this. But the stuff it does in those formats is so big and so over the top. And I think one of the things in Standard that kind of gave people pause when they first saw it is it's like, oh, well, it doesn't have a way to add counters easily. But when you're in those older formats where all the artifacts you're playing are 0, 1, and 2 mana, okay, fine. You don't care nearly as much, especially with the abilities that those cards are all giving you. So, like, yeah, I could totally see that. I don't know if it's going to carry a $50 value, but it's going to be valuable for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is one of those cards that I think is a good example / poster child for they don't design for older formats. They don't really care if this is going to crush in Vintage or Legacy or whatever, because the player pool, love it or hate it, even if you love those formats, I'm sorry, it's a very small player pool. They buy very few packs of Magic the Gathering, so it's not going to impact them very much. You know, your Vintage players are going to pick up their 4, and then when this gets restricted, they'll go down to their 1, and whatever, they'll probably get banned in Legacy for whatever stupid thing it's going to be doing there, and that's fine. Because in Standard, this is probably going to play awesome. It's going to be really cool. It's exciting. It's neat. It's a 3-mana generic Planeswalker. It's a Planeswalker that doesn't suck in Commander because Planeswalkers have always sucked in Commander. So they're given a really cool ability to go find Soul Ring as its second ability. Like, there's reasons to make this thing awesome, not only for the, the spikiest spikes who are playing Vintage, but also the Commander players who want something rad that they can actually use in any deck, which is awesome. All right, let's move in here to number 2. Ruben, what's number 2?
My number 2 is higher on somebody else's list. So somebody thinks of it higher than I do.
Oh, okay then.
Fair.
Power Dragon, what's number 2?
My number 2, and this is the one I was saying before we started, that this is probably a surprising number 2. But I'll explain why I want to tell you what the card is, but it's Famished Worldsire. 5 green for a creature that's a Leviathan.
Okay.
And it's ward 3. So very hard to kill, which I like. But it has Devour Land 3, which is a pretty big number. And when this creature enters, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is this creature's power. Put any number of land cards from among them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. The reason I think this card is kind of flown under the radar is I was doing some test draws earlier when I was thinking about this card. If I just find a way to get this thing onto the battlefield, like, man, you just get your library's worth of lands potentially, right? Like if I can ramp it up onto the battlefield on say turn 4, great. I'm just sacking all my lands.
Yeah, you sack all your lands, right? Like top 12 cards, you get every single land in them.
Yeah,
like, I'm like 40%. That's like almost half there, right? So
that's what I'm saying. I'm getting at least 5, right, or 6. So I'm coming out ahead on lands, and I just get a giant dude. Like, yeah, why not? Like, you can do fun, silly things with this too, even if you want to just like trick it onto the battlefield with a pile of different things. Namely, the card Ruben was talking about for 6 mana, I could have this guy.
Terminal Velocity. Yeah,
right.
Sure. Terminal Velocity would be sick.
Like that could be a thing. So I get rid of, let's say, even 5 lands. So I have a 15/15 with haste, and I get all the lands out of my deck. Like, yeah, sure, whatever, man. Like, something silly is going to happen with this card somewhere along the way.
Yeah, this card is made to do something stupid, you know? Like it reads crazy. It sounds a little crazy. What it does is kind of nuts. And remember that Ward 4 is just straight hexproof, but Ward 3 is not far behind. It is very close to hexproof. So yes, it doesn't have evasion, it doesn't have trample, but it like finds every land. You're going to sack all of your lands by default. I don't know why in the world you wouldn't, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I was doing the math. Like almost every time. I'm just saying, unless some weird thing where I got it into play on like turn 2 or 3, I probably would.
Right.
But yeah, turn 4 plus, I'm sacking all the lands.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you've also got that Mossborn Hydra from earlier that we double up for every landfall trigger, and then we attack for 8,000. Or you know, there's a Skewed Swarm or some other crazy landfall combo that goes along with this guy. This is an 8-mana win the game card with very little setup.
Right. This is take your landfall deck to the next level. This is what you're doing. Like I don't expect this creature to win the game. It's what this creature does and its effects are going to win the game.
That's
right, with what's already in
you
play.
Up to win the game.
For sure.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So for my number 2 here, this is a card that is very much beloved already. It is very much an expensive Magic card, as are most Mythic Angels. Angels are fantastic. Mythic Angels are usually really fantastic. And Lord Almighty, we have the word twice on here. We're doubling up like we're supposed to with Exalted Sunborn. For 2 white and 3 generic mana, it is a 4/5 Mythic Angel Wizard. 5 mana 4/5 with flying and lifelink. We're already cooking with gas. If 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many of those tokens are created instead. A classic line at this point that's going to be put on more things in the future because it's dumb and silly, but it also has warp of 1 white and 1 generic mana. So you can cast it from your hand for its warp cost, exile at the beginning of your next end step, and you can play it later, which is awesome. So for 2 mana, do some silly stuff and make tokens, make twice as many, and then just tuck this thing on the side, let them handle your tokens, deal with your board, do whatever, and then play the 5 mana. So you have a 5 mana flying lifelink, ready to do really dumb things once you untap with her again.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of those things in most token-based decks. You're probably warping on turn 3 or 4. Taking advantage of the doubler, and then you just have this on the following turn. It's probably what's going to happen a bunch of the time. But another thing I was just thinking about, an issue some of those decks have are with like discard decks and things like that. Like it's really cool that warp actually almost lets you protect a creature while still getting value from it. So you could play this, double up some things real quick. Great. Now I know I have this card later, even if I'm empty-handed, right? So there's some cool stuff this card allows, and a 4/5 lifelinker still going to be good in a lot of situations.
Yeah, 4/5 lifelink for 5 mana is already good by itself. Much less with this ability that goes along great with your Caretaker's Talent deck, right? Like whatever was in that already with your Elspeth, Mondrak. We've now got so many cards that say double the number of tokens you make that all you need to do is raise the alarm and make an army. Right. This one being able to get that double effect for 2 mana. You're right. You're usually playing this on 3 or 4 to be able to play this for 2 mana and then play the way that you're making some tokens. But even if you're not, even if you have a Voice of Victory and just getting mobilized tokens, or if you have some other way to, like a Basri and make 2 cats, for example, pretty easy to be able to take advantage of this card.
I will once again call back to my number 9, Cosmogrand Zenith. If this card is the second spell that you play, or even the first one, whatever, you can play 2 spells in a row. It's going to make those 2 soldiers. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, make 4 soldiers instead. And that's ridiculous. And fits right into a curve. Turn 1 Llanowar Elf, turn 2 Cosmogrand Zenith, turn 4, 2 mana this, 2 mana do whatever. Make 4 soldiers, make some more tokens. Why not? Y'all.
They're crazy fast for sure.
They're made to work together. This card, the warp, any warp that's super cheap should be way high on your radar. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Because this card is fantastic. It's also
I expect this card to always be $20 plus forever.
Yeah. It's already 30 plus. It'll drop a little bit, but it won't go much lower.
For sure.
All right. Let's move on here to number 1. Goodness gracious. Ruben, what's number 1?
My number 1 is a card that I'm very excited about. And there are lots of cards to be very excited about. There's a lot of big splashy mythics. There's a lot of really exciting rares. There's a lot of cool legends. I went with a uncommon. I went with an uncommon creature that does something that I value very highly, that a lot of players value very highly, and comes on a body that I'm not sure I've ever seen this effect come on before. My number one is Umbral Collar Zealot. Umbral Collar Zealot is a generic and a black for a 3/2 human cleric. And it says sacrifice another creature or artifact, Surveil 1. Sam Black once said, if it says sacrifice a creature on it before the colon, I don't care what it does. I don't care what else the card says.
Yeah.
I just need the sacrifice trigger. They don't give us free sacrifice triggers much anymore. And much less on a 3-power, 2-mana creature. So and also this will help fill your graveyard with Surveil. There's a lot of good reasons to want to have cards in your graveyard, Luris or whatever the reanimate for 3 casting cost or less du jour that we get in any given set. This card's very exciting and has a very high ceiling.
It's not sorcery speed. It's not once a turn. And it has Surveil attached. Like, there's zero chance this card does not get played. Like, this is going to show up somewhere, whether it's the Raise the Past decks, older format aristocrat stuff, like even just cleric decks potentially that want to sacrifice something. Like, this is going to show up somewhere. Like, it's priced to be played. It's a 3-power creature, and you get to sacrifice artifacts, not even just creatures, right? So somebody's going to find this thing. It has to find room somewhere.
It's also a void outlet.
Yeah,
it definitely is. And I think, first of all, I think that 2-mana 3/2s are going to be the new 2-mana 2/2s, if that makes sense.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, we've kind of gotten to the point where 2-mana 3/2 is great, but I also think that we can't really say it's above rate after a while when it just becomes the rate, right?
Yeah.
So there's that. I'm not complaining about that. I'm just kind of noting, like, hey, another kind of waterline that we've reached here. But Umbral Collar Zealot is terrific. They've been kind of very careful in allowing us to have free sack outlets that nothing kind of blows up, because they want to make sure that when things trigger on dying, they don't make mana, they don't draw you cards as much, or if they do, you kind of got to jump through hoops or whatever, or pay prices or whatever. So that's been really interesting, actually, because I remember when Sam Black said that, and we're like, man, they can't ever make Carrion Feeder again, but they've made a couple, and we're like, nothing's broke. So, like, what happened?
Yeah, Carrion Feeder would just be a guy right now. Like, it wouldn't even. Nobody would care.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be really that playable, honestly.
But this is half of the aristocrat's puzzle, is a creature that says sacrifice a creature colon. Oh, yeah. So we've got Cartel Aristocrat. We do also have Blood Artist in Standard. We have a sort of Blood Artist in Standard, in Foundations, I believe. We've got the bodies that make additional bodies, right? We've got a 1/1 for 1 that makes a token when it dies. Right, we've got a bunch of stuff like that. So there's an avenue here. There's some trickeration that we can do with this card.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Sephiroth says hi.
That too. Sephiroth. Big fan of this card, for sure.
Yeah, there's the deck is out there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Is it good? Is it tier 1? Is it the best thing ever? I don't know. But is this going to be in every, Aristocrats commander deck? Yes. Till the end of time. Yes. Like, even if it's not the top rate, it's certainly at the top rate it could be for 2 mana, and I love it.
Everywhere I've seen, that's been pre-ordering for $1.50 to $2. Yeah, and it does not surprise me.
$2 each at least, yeah. Power Dragon, what's your number 1, which I think is Ruben's number 2 by default?
Correct, probably.
Yeah. So while we talk about this, keep that famished World Sire in mind.
Right.
So Tanic Steadfast Seconds. It's 2 red for a 3/5 legendary Kavu pilot, which is cool that we have pilots for spaceships that don't do anything, but they're just pilot. Other creatures you control have haste. Artifact cards and red creatures. Oh, it has to be a red creature, sorry. Cards in your hand have warp of 2 and a red. So it's 3/5, sizable body, 4/4/5, which is nice. But man, being able to make any big artifact junky thing, especially in a format where we still have Colossus available to us, which is awesome. But yeah, just cool stuff we can do with this. When you're talking about giant dragons that kind of go underplayed right now, that you could get into play and would have haste. And by the fact it gives them warp, you don't just lose them at the end of turn, right? You get them, they get to attack, they do their thing, and then they're just there so you can actually cast them later, which I love about it. Because usually when we get these abilities in red, it's like you get it, it has haste, you sacrifice it at the end of turn. and then that's kind of the end of it. But you still get access to your creatures later. So, yeah, there's probably some silly things we can do with this.
Yeah.
I just don't know what yet. But we have a ton of large red and artifact creatures we just don't play with right now that this could make playable.
Yeah, it's a good bookend for my list because my number 10 was a sneak attack show and tell card, and so is this. And this also sneaks in Blightsteel Colossus and Etali Primal Storm and Etali Bigger Etali and Cityscape Leveler and Darksteel Colossus and Combustible Gearhulk. But this one also lets you put in just artifacts, right? This one also lets you sneak in Portal to Phyrexia. This one also lets you sneak in, I can't even think of another, Spine of Isha, right? These big giant the Endstone, these big giant artifacts that you might otherwise have to pay retail for that go away at the end of the turn, or that you can blink at the end of the turn. Let's say we have like a Conjurer's Closet or something like that to be able to blink these guys. So this card, 5 toughness is huge on this card. Being able to only have to pay 3 mana to sneak these things in is also amazing. So I love that this card exists.
Yeah, this card is like wonderfully mythic, right? This card is, it reads great. It's at the very top of the sort of the curve of what you're getting. It's super powerful. It's going to be super great feeling when you get to untap with it. It's also very specifically placed in standard so that the Brothers War is leaving. This is on Twitter. I was like, tell me the Brothers War is rotating without telling me the Brothers War is rotating. This card exists. This card cannot exist alongside Portal to Phyrexia.
Sure.
And the Gate Colossus guy. No.
Can't
do it.
Yeah.
No way. Just way too powerful.
Still have Darksteel.
You still have Darksteel, which is fine. But again, this card is rad, and I think I love it. And again, maybe if there's a big red deck, well, this could be part of it, right? Maybe.
I will say this too. This is one of those cards that just allows a different type of commander deck to be built too. Yeah. Right? Like you can load up on like 20 oversized guys that you wouldn't normally ever play, that you always have a way to get them onto the battlefield cheap. Right? Like that could be kind of fun to see.
It's the sneak attack commander, right? Essentially.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. I love that. I think that's great. All right, so let's move on here to my number 1. Now, it's funny because we pick cards that we talk about on the show and the weeks leading up to the set, and I try my best to not necessarily include all of them in these top 10 lists, just so we don't kind of repeat ourselves or whatever. But at times, and I think when we have our frenzied Bailoffs and whatnot, you can't not put the cards that you love and point it out the first time, point it out the second time. And listen, man, I'm a Timmy Spike. I like to win, and I like to feel things. All right, and you cannot tell me that Dawn Sire Sunstar Dreadnought is not the most Timmy Spike thing I've ever seen. If nothing else, it is the most Timmy thing. Maybe not the most Spike thing because it is a 5 mana quote do nothing. But for 5 mana, this card's incredible. This card's unbelievable. It's 5 generic mana for a mythic, legendary spacecraft. Has station, which says tap another creature you control. Put charge counters on this equal to its power. And station only is a sorcery, and it's an artifact creature at 20 plus counters. Because if you can put 10 on it, whenever you attack, it deals 100 damage up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. Yes, 100 damage. Yes, from the top rope. And if it's 20 plus, it's a 20/20 flying monster that deals 100 to a creature or a planeswalker when it attacks us. That's incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah.
The combos are ridiculous. Combos are insane. The numbers are fantastic. It becomes a 20/20 flyer, which is great. Like, just everything about this makes me so happy. This is like, I could not imagine a better card that I can envision being in this set as a big ass, awesome dreadnought spacecraft than this one. Love it.
I find it really interesting because on the one hand, it's like, I feel like we can get to 10 pretty reasonably. I think there's a few different ways we can contrive 10 without being too crazy. But if there is realistically a way that we can do 20, I mean, bashing somebody with the 20/20 spaceship is kind of cool. So if we can find a way to do it, I'm definitely going to be looking.
And do note that second ability doesn't mean it has to attack. Whenever you attack and it's got 10 on it, kaboom, comes the laser from space.
I think Elves is the most likely home for Dawnsire because Elves pump each other up and the mana is there. So you can very easily go one drop Mana Dork, 3 drop Mana Dork Lord, or play Archdruid, and then turn 3 play Dawnsire, and then the next turn have a reasonable expectation of crewing it up to 10, getting the trigger. The dream, though, is instead, obviously you want to obliterate something from orbit with Dawnsire. Like, that's the dream. But the real dream is to obliterate a Stuffy Doll or a Boros Reckoner or a Screaming Nemesis from orbit so that you can 100 the Dome, so that you can get him in the face. And I think that there is, this is the definition of a 5-mana do-nothing card. But it is so cool, and the numbers are so big that you cannot help but love it.
Like, I got to do it. I don't know how many times it's going to take me, but I've got to get that deal 100 to my Nemesis to deal 100 to their face. I'm going to do it. I don't care how many Mythic Wild cards are going to cash in for this. I don't care how many times I lose. I'm going to do it at least the one time so I can feel things.
Heads up, if you want to stay in red, there is another card in the set that allows that to happen as well, with Pain for All.
Oh, yeah.
So
there you go.
Yeah.
You can make your own Screaming Nemesis. You can have 2 sets up.
That's true.
That's what I'm talking about. I love this.
And we can sneak this guy in with Tanic.
Yeah.
And we can, man, we got it. We can do it. We can sneak in the 9/9.
Yeah.
that you had first.
Hell
We've got the deck. We did
it. Everybody, we absolutely freaking did it. And that's awesome. And that was.
Oh, isn't there a Hazoret that doesn't do much right now that could probably fit that deck too?
Yeah.
You can tap Hazoret, right?
Hazoret that can. Hazoret can't attack or block, but can definitely drive.
Yeah.
You can definitely do the crew.
Hell yeah.
All right. That was our top 10 Edge of Eternities cards. You'll see them on screen right now for your review. Take a look at my list, Power Dragons list, Ruben's top 10, and we want to hear from you about what card we did not talk about, and we'll select our favorite to highlight in our next top 10. But before we go, I want to thank my co-host. Thank you, Power Dragon.
Hey, it's always good to be here, and man, I'm looking forward to really figuring out what we can do with this set, because I don't think we have any idea right now.
Thank you, Ruben.
Mr. Orange, Mr. Dragon, a pleasure as always, and I'll see you for the streamer events.
Check us out on this channel tomorrow, Power Dragons channel, this channel right here. We'll also be streaming on YouTube. Be hanging out at least for like 3 to 4 hours generally is what we do. We'll do some limited, we'll do some construct on my side. Power Dragon, you do just
all day practically.
Right.
All the days.
All the constructed standard stuff.
And I'll be at Comic-Con. So if you guys want to see me at Comic-Con, especially for Taskmaster on Friday afternoon, come see me there.
Hell yeah. So let's move on here to our final slide. I want to thank our co-sponsor, Mana Traders, my co-host, Power Dragon, and Ruben Bressler. You guys for watching and listening. I hope you support us at patreon.com/magicmics. Follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online at twitch.tv at Magic Mics, on Blue Sky at Magic Mics Cast, our Magic Mics subreddit, like the Magic Mics page on Facebook. Or join us here next week. Same time, same place for another episode of Magic Mics. Good night, everybody.